Dr. Crystal Tribbett, and today I am meeting with C.Moore for In Our Own Words, the UCI Black Alumni Chapter Oral History Project. Today is Tuesday, August 31st. Welcome, Jesse. Thank you for taking the time to share your story with us. Please introduce yourself with your name, how you'd like to be addressed, and the year you graduated from UCI.
My name is Jesse C.Moore Jr. I graduated from UCI in 1980.
Wonderful. So Jesse, I'd love to learn about your journey to UCI. And so can you tell me a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up?
Okay, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I came to California via a vacation. My father was living out here, so I came out to California to visit with him, and I liked it. So I ended up, coming back to California and went to a junior college called Palomar Junior College. Palomar Junior College is located in San Marcos, California. And at the time, I hadn't played baseball in a while, so I decided to get back to playing baseball. And so what I did is I began working out, and I decided to walk on to the baseball team. And so I ended up making a team and had an opportunity to play there for a couple of years. My freshman year, I was voted most inspirational. My sophomore year, I was voted team captain. And so at the time, most of the players that went to, I played at Palomar, went to a school called USIU. And so I had sat down with the coach, and the coach, he was pretty much going to take care of me, but said, let me think about it. And so there was an alumni from Palomar that was at UC Irvine. And so at the time, he came and met with me and shared with me that there were hardly any Black ball players at UCI at the time. So this was around 1978. And so he suggested that you should consider coming to UCI. So I met with the alumni from Palomar's name was Scott Thayer. So I met with Dave Lyons, who was assistant coach at Irvine. And so Scott had told Dave about myself. And so I met Dave Lyons, and Dave Lyons took me on like a mini tour. So we walked by the pool area. So at the pool area, there's this big picture of this anteater. And so I said, Dave, what is that? He said, that's the school mascot. I said, man, you kidding? That's the school mascot? I said, okay, I guess I can get used to that. So what happened is he invited me to come out. And so I went back to Detroit, worked out 7 days a week. I was running 2 miles a day, was working out. Came back to UCI in September, registered for school. And
what year was that?
This was in 1978. 1978, I registered for school, came out, and got the attention of the head coach. The head coach was taking batting practice at the time because in college, like during that time, they have a winter league season. And so winter league could last anywhere from like 60 games. And so, so I had I stepped in the batter's box. And I was taking batting practice. And so some of my colleagues or alumni from Palomar, who was at Irvine on scholarship at the time, they said, Jesse, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm walking on. And so the head coach is watching me taking batting practice. He said, who is this guy? He said, this guy's in mid-season form in September. And so I run to first base. I go back to the dugout, grab my glove. He said, hey, come here, I want to talk to you. And so he introduces himself. He said, I'm Eddie Allen. And I said, I'm Jesse Moore. And he said, And I told him, I said, I'm just looking to, get an opportunity to, to make the team and, and contribute. Opening day, I was starting. I had made the team. Opening day, I was starting. And so from that point on, I became an anteater.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And so, and I'm really, it was quite an experience, for me, because you take a guy out of the inner city, Detroit, Michigan, that had never, been exposed to an area like Newport Beach. Mm-hmm. And so I was blessed to live in Newport Beach for 2 years, and right on the ocean. I would run the beach every day. I would meditate. Just be very grateful, for the opportunity to be at Irvine.
If I could rewind a little bit, you mentioned you grew up in Detroit.
Sure.
In Detroit, and you played baseball in Detroit. Was this in high school? Had you made a plan to play baseball in college?
Okay, well, I in Detroit, I went to Mumford High School, and at the time I was playing football, baseball, basketball, and when I graduated from high school, I went to work at Cadillac Motors, and so Detroit has a lot of factories: Cadillac, Ford, Chrysler, and so that seems to be was one of the as they say, the tickets for a job. And so my mother had worked at Ford, my uncle had worked at Cadillac Motors. And so what happened is I left high school, graduated from high school, really didn't know what I wanted to do. Really didn't have much direction on college or anything. And so I decided to go to work at Cadillac Motors. And so the purpose, really, I eventually found out the purpose of going to Cadillac Motors was to help my mother out, because a lot of the things I was doing, I was helping my mother out financially. And so I worked at Cadillac for a while. And so I was able to go to California because, like, at that time, I was making some pretty good money. And so there was a moment while I was at Cadillac Motors, because I was working production. So I was able to do 8 hours production in like 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours. And so they used to call me young blood. They say, "Oh, young blood, boy, he can do that production." And so what I used to do is I used to have the more seasoned workers show me how they did it. And so, I pick up a tip here, pick up a tip there. And so eventually I figured out how to do it, and I wouldn't even break a sweat. So I'm at the time I was buffing, they called rear outers, or the chrome around the lights on the back of the Cadillac, because I was working in the production plant. And so I was able to do 8 hours worth of production. If I really felt like it, I could knock out 8 hours in 45 hours. And so the other 3 hours, I would just kick back. I'd go sit in the cars, listen to radio, relax, take a nap. And I'm like, that was my day. And I would get paid for 8 hours. And so there was a moment when where I was working at, there's a hill. And so I was sitting on that hill, and I was looking down on the hill, and I said, "What are you doing here? There's got to be something better for you in life." And so from that moment right there, I had decided to go visit my father in California. Went to visit him for a while. Took my brothers and sisters out there as well. Spent the summer out there, and I summed up California in one word, and that was opportunity. So from that moment, I came back to Detroit, got some things together, came back out to California. And one of my friends that I played baseball with in Detroit, he was at Palomar Junior College at the time. And so he told me about Palomar. So ended up going to San Marcos, got an apartment with some friends, and I just started pursuing baseball. Never, really never dreamed of going to college. Never dreamed of playing college baseball, and it's one of those I share with people. Like sometimes God will give you things you don't ask for, and so this is one of those situations. Whereas God will give you things that you don't ask for. And so, I never, dreamed of, going to college, never dreamed of playing baseball in college, never dreamed of living in Newport Beach. And so, like all those things, happened for me. So, so I'm very grateful for, for the opportunity.
So you move out to California. Where was your father living?
And my father was living in Inglewood, California.
Inglewood, okay.
And he was working at the Los Angeles Times in Orange County.
And so you said California kind of was for you, seemed like a place of opportunity.
Bingo.
Why was that?
Because I'm looking at the surroundings. I'm looking at everything that's going on in California. I said, oh yeah. If you stay focused, because at the time, there was, when I was in school, Jimmy Carter was the president at the time. And so there was a lot of money, being given out for college. And so I received a lot of financial aid. And I did not struggle one day in college, not one single day. I wasn't broke, had money, had a job, was eating, did not struggle one day. And so I began to pay attention to everything going on in California. Said, oh yeah, this is the place to be. This is the place. This is the place. If you stay focused, don't get distracted, don't get caught up in all the other stuff going on, you can make it here. And so, I would see how, people would miss opportunities. And, even, going to college, because, at the time, when I went to Palomar, it only cost $475 to go to school. And, I was kind of fearful to register because I said, oh, do I have the money? Am I gonna have enough? So, when I registered, the lady just boldly said, oh, yeah, it's $4.75. I said, what? $4.75? I said, oh, I got that in my pocket. So I reached in my pocket, pulled out that $5. I said, all right, I'm going to school. And so, I look at things like that and grateful for opportunities and, being able to see the opportunities and take advantage of it. And so, that's what I did. Just take advantage of every single opportunity that was presented to me.
When you enrolled in college, what did you decide to study? And what was your focus?
I looked at, I've always liked people, love people, always, as a kid, I've always helped people and always, looked toward helping others. And so I got into social sciences, psychology, because of, being involved with sports. Sports is mental. And so when you are under a lot of pressure, being able to handle pressure. And I was one of those ball players that I was relying on pretty heavily. I mean, it hit fourth, fifth. So I was one of those ball players that my teammates relied on me pretty heavily. So, I didn't want to let my teammates down. I didn't want to let my coaching staff down. So the mental, was very important, to me. And then, just dealing with people, as a whole. I mean, UCI was a melting pot of different nationalities. And so, I kind of summed up UCI as a makeup of the real world, just on a small scale. because you're dealing with different demographics, different nationalities. And so you have to learn to adapt, learn to adjust, to the people. And so because you take a guy out of inner city Detroit, Michigan, which is predominantly African-American, then you put him in Newport Beach, or you put him in Orange County when you don't hardly see any. And so you are forced to make an adjustment. And so, for me, it was like, okay, I'm here, I'm going to make the adjustment and I'm going to make the best of it. So, for me, it was mental, and, not getting caught up in, all the other stuff, but, I'm here for a purpose. It's not my problem, it's their problem. And so I had one situation whereas I was going to class and just going to an early morning class. And so this white guy passing by me, and he says, "Good morning, nigga." And so, I just kept walking. I didn't receive it because I knew that had there been a confrontation, I would have gotten in trouble, even though he initiated it. It would have been viewed as if I was the troublemaker. And so for me, I had to take the high road. I could not get caught up in that because I had far more to lose than he did.
Did you have a lot of instances like that at UCI during your time there, or?
Well, because I had a pretty streamlined life, I really didn't experience, a lot of that because my schedule was pretty rigid. I was either, if I wasn't in class, I was studying. If I wasn't studying, I was working out. If I wasn't working out, I was playing. If I wasn't playing, I was traveling. And so that was my schedule. And so I really didn't do a lot of socializing because any downtime that I had, I was either in the library studying or at practice because of the type of schedule that we have for playing baseball, travel, and everything. You have to have a very rigid schedule.
So at UCI, you studied, you were in the social sciences, right? You studied psychology, is that right?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about your academic experience at the university? Were there faculty members or other individuals on campus that had an influence on your academic life? How was that for you? Yes.
I had my writing 1B professor. His name was Vic Cucimilio. Okay, so Vic was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so I took a writing 1A class, and believe me, that was one of the most challenging classes I ever took. And I'm not going to tell you the grade because I didn't even know they could go that low with the grade. But I was happy that I passed. And so, I didn't take that as a negative, but I took it as a positive. And so I went into the writing 1B class, and Vic told me, said, "Jesse, you have the ability to write." So no one had ever told me that. And so from that, I never forgot that. And so I ended up writing a book called Skills for Career Development that is designed to teach the basic skills needed for entering the workforce. So what I do when I talk to students or I talk to youth, young adults, kids, I share with them, don't dismiss words of wisdom from people that are sharing insight about you. I said, that might be where your gift is. And so by him sharing that with me, I have begun writing. And so I've been, doing some writing for television. because I feel that I'm just as skilled as they are. So why can't I do this? And so I do a lot of writing, a lot of planning, a lot of strategizing, and just enjoy writing. And so because of those words that he shared with me, I never forgot this. I'm very grateful for Vic sharing that with me. And then Turner, Fred, okay, yeah, what's his name? Turner, his name is Turner. I'll think of his name if I can. But I took a class called ICS, Information Computer Science. And that was a requirement. And so I was just clueless. Like, what is this? So one thing about I used to do is walk the campus. So I would see what are the services that are provided. And so I came across tutoring. And so I walk in there and Mr. Turner's in there. And I said, sir, I need your best in this subject, your best. So he provided me with a tutor called Tracy Usher. So Tracy Usher tutored me in ICS. And so from that, Mr. Turner and I, we became friends. We would run together. We would engage in conversation. So we, kind of served like a mentor, as well. But he was somebody that we had developed a good friendship, over the course of time, while I was at UCI.
Were there other individuals? They don't have to just be faculty members. Maybe there are other fellow students that had an influence in shaping your UCI experience.
I would probably say my friends that we're still close friends today. His name's Steve Borowski. Very smart guy. Very smart guy. And was a type of guy that was ambitious, but I didn't realize how ambitious he was till I saw the success, that he had. And, he was someone that he was a go-getter. And so because he was a go-getter, sometimes you get inspired by, others and, not even, realize like the impact, that they have. But him and I are still good friends, to this very day.
It's really, encouraging that you were able to maintain a friendship over, your years throughout UCI and after UCI.
Matt, let me share this with you. Okay, we have an alumni day. We do alumni day for baseball. The last Saturday in January. So Steve and I coach the bases. He coaches first base. He coaches third base. And I don't get out there and play. At one time I did, but as I got older, wisdom kind of settled in. And when you got guys throwing like 90-something miles per hour, I don't think you want to get hit. And you don't recover too quickly being hit by a ball throwing 90-something miles per hour. But I go out, take batting practice, and things like that. And we just enjoy one another's company. And we're working on something right now to create a network for athletes. We're going to start with the baseball team and create a network that graduating baseball players will be able to network with various alumni to help them with career choices. So right now, Chris Walker in the athletic department, Bryce Stoll, Steve Borowski, and myself, we're working on putting something together. We're starting with the baseball team, but we'll eventually expand into the athletic department to create a network where athletes will have a source to go to for information on career experiences, knowledge, insight, and things like that.
Were there other activities other than baseball that you were a part of during your years at UCI?
That was enough. I mean, I'm playing. Okay, I was playing Tuesdays, sometimes Thursdays, Fridays, doubleheaders on Saturday, and so there really wasn't room for any other activities because either you're on the road, you're traveling, or either you're at home, playing. And like, for example, on Saturdays, okay, I would have to be there dressed and on the field, ready to go at 9 o'clock. So we play 2 games, 9-inning game, 7-inning game. Okay, if it's a home game, I might get home around 6, 7 o'clock. If it's a road game, if it's in, like, for example, Santa Barbara, San Diego, I might not get home till about 11 o'clock. And so you are getting your rest. Okay, you're not, but believe me, I didn't know. Now I'm finding out about all these other activities. I didn't even know those activities existed because my routine and my world was that rigid that I had to, keep it that rigid in order to, to be at my peak when, getting out there because you're playing that much. So it's important that you get your rest and that you're mentally prepared, to be able to play because we were playing in one of the toughest leagues in the nation. We're playing against USC, UCLA, Cal State Fullerton, and we played one game against USC, and that year, 1978, they won the national championship, and they only lost something like 6 games out of about possibly like 70-some games. We were one of the teams that beat them. And I was blessed to have a good game that day. I went like 3 for 5, knocked in a couple runs. And so the head coach, Eddie Allen, he was an alumni of USC. And so he was going to an event that night. So he wanted some bragging rights for that night. So he was happy. And we split the doubleheader that day, but he was happy that we went there. And we beat him that one game. He can brag about it. And then eventually, USC won the national championship that year. But we were one of the few teams, that beat them. So, as you can see, it's not a lot of time for other stuff.
Where did you live on campus?
Newport Beach.
You lived in Newport Beach. You didn't live in the residence halls?
No, I lived in Newport Beach. I lived on 41st and Balboa.
How did that come to be?
Okay, well, baseball. When you want to, you want the athletes, you get taken care of.
Oh.
So the Linda Simos, who was working with the baseball team, they found housing for the baseball players. And so there was, I lived with a couple guys. One was one of my teammates and another guy was a golfer. And so we lived on 41st and Balboa. I could stand on the patio, see the ocean right from the patio. And so my teammate, he used to go surfing. So he'd get up early in the morning, have his wetsuit on. He's got a surfboard and he going out there surfing. So he said, "Hey, Jesse, come on, man. Come go surf with me." No, I don't think so. I think that's too much water. And so I'm going to pass on that. But No, I lived in Newport Beach for 2 years. And I mean, my teammate named Bob Frechette, he found out I was living in Newport Beach. Say, man, I'll take you home. So we're driving home, and so we're going through like Balboa Peninsula. Mm. And so there's an area on Balboa Peninsula where you pull up to the ferry. And so he's pulling up there, and I'm like, man, where are we going? Because all I'm seeing is water. I don't see no land or nothing. I'm just seeing water. So he drives on the ferry. And so we're riding the ferry. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is beautiful. I mean, just yachts and just like out there on the water. And you're seeing the yachts pull up to the door just like a car. And so I'm looking at all of this and I'm saying, man, these folks is living. They doing some serious living. And so, from looking at that, and I was there for 2 years, I was like, man, I would have never seen anything like this had I not come to UCI.
This is one of the first times I've heard of athletes living outside of campus.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all athletes, it was just some athletes?
Well, I can speak for the baseball team.
Okay.
Baseball team was living in Newport Beach.
Okay.
Okay, right there on that Balboa, 41st and Balboa area. Yes, we were living down there. Yes, we were.
How was life in Newport for you at that time? It sounds like you really appreciated where you were living, the accessibility and visibility of the ocean.
I spent a lot of time meditating. I would run the beach, and then I would sit there and meditate, and I would think about who's on the other side of all of this water. And really grateful for the experience, but also understanding where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And that I think the whole time I was there, excluding the Black athletes, I don't think I hardly saw any African Americans in Newport Beach at that time. And so I really didn't engage in a lot of stuff. Just kind of go to the store, don't do no hanging out, all that kind of stuff. I would go, visit my teammates, go barbecue, sit down and talk. I was with one of my other teammates was Kenny Washington. And so I would go over, Kenny Washington played with Daryl McGee, Sam Reed. And so we, the brothers over there hanging, we listening to the jazz, and, we talking, but, not really into a lot of other stuff because you don't want to draw attention to yourself. Mm-hmm. And so the whole time I was there, I was not stopped one time. And there was a reason why, because I made a decision that I'm going to look just like I grew up here. And believe me, I look just like I grew up there. Had the nice little Docker slacks, nice little neat polo shirt, nice little neat shoes. And so I look just like somebody that grew up in Newport Beach. And so, this way, I did not draw attention to myself. And I would get invited to fraternity parties and things like that. Nah, I don't think I'm going to go. Because I knew that I knew what I had to lose. If something would go down, I did not want to put myself in that kind of position.
So you mentioned you had there were other Black athletes that you knew and who lived in Newport. How would you describe, or what interactions did you have with the rest of the Black students at UCI?
I would see them in passing. I would interact, with them, that like as you would get to know them, because it was good to see an African American face, and so like, I would see some of them in class, I would see some of them in passing, and then because of Kenny Washington, Daryl McGee, and Sam, so they had knew some of the African Americans there, so I was able to get introduced to other African Americans, that was there. So that that made it easy because being a JC transfer, see, they had been there for a while, so they already had a foundation, but I had just got there, and so met them because I met Kenny because he was my teammate, and then they were roommates, so I got a chance to meet them through that. But because of them, I got a chance to meet other African Americans as well.
Did you have Black faculty members that you interacted with, or administrators?
I not really. I took a class. Joe White's took one of Joe White's classes, and really didn't have a lot of interaction with Joe White. But I eventually found out who he was, and I was like, "Ooh, okay. Maybe I should have took a couple more of his classes," because he was very inspirational, very inspirational to a lot of the African Americans there. Very well respected, very well respected. So I kind of missed that I didn't have a chance to to meet with him and to get to know him, but not too many interactions with a lot of Black faculty and staff there.
What did people say about Dr. White?
Dr. White was the man. Dr. White was cool, he was sharp, and he was very, very for real, very upfront, very for real, and looked at the potential, that you had as an individual, that he wanted you to maximize your ability, not just kind of be complacent, not just kind of go the typical route, but, go for it. And so by going for it, you will put yourself in a much higher position, which you could see from some of the people, like, for example, Dr. Parham. Okay, Dr. Parham was one of associated with Joe White. And you can look at Dr. Parham's history. Man, this guy is just phenomenal. Just a phenomenal individual that, believe me, he's maximizing all his talents. And so because of somebody like Joe White, Dr. Parham was able to go far beyond his imagination.
You sounded like you had, a really wonderful time at UCI with a great number of opportunities. Were there any challenges that you faced during your years there? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Not really, because I would probably say I was a little bit older when I attended UCI. And at a very young age, I had responsibility. And so I had a good work ethic, had responsibility. And so I knew when I came to UCI that I knew what my needs were. I needed a job, I need to have money. And so when I came there, Linda Simos, she found me a job. And I bugged Linda Simos every single day till she found me a job.
What was your job?
Okay, I was the equipment manager, and I worked from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And I was catching the bus I was getting up about 5, probably about 5:15 in the morning, catching the bus from Newport Beach to the equipment room. I would get there around 6:45. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I was setting up archery targets for a class at 8 o'clock. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I was setting up volleyball nets for classes in Crawford Hall. And so
in Crawford Hall, that was the gym at the time.
That was the gym, Crawford Hall. That was the gym at the time. And so my equipment manager's name was Bill Luther. So Bill Luther, he invited me over his home for a barbecue. And so we sitting down talking, and all of a sudden Bill Luther starts crying. And so he said, Jesse, he said, you do not realize how easy you made it for me these 3 years. I did not miss a day. Those 3 years, I wasn't late. I didn't miss a day. I was there like clockwork. And I always was available, to help him. And so, he pretty much, would let me run the equipment room, and, he can go, do some other stuff. So, I was doing that. Then I had, financial aid, and my coach got me a job. I was cleaning office buildings from 6 to 8:30, Monday through Thursday. And so I always had, and then I was getting food stamps. So I was getting on the bus from Irvine, riding to Santa Ana, picking up food stamp, and then riding back to Irvine. Mm-hmm. And so I was working 2 jobs and getting food stamps and financial aid. Mm-hmm. And so, doing all that stuff, I had my work, taking care of my rent, food stamp, taking care of my food. So like all my other money, I was putting that money in the bank. And so, and then what I used to do, if I couldn't go and get something to eat, I would keep in my bag, I would have a loaf of bread, jar of peanut butter, jar of jelly, and a knife. So if I couldn't go get some lunch or somewhere, I'd pull off to the side, make about 2-3 sandwiches, and I go on about my business. And so I was going over people's houses, pull the peanut butter out, pull the jelly out, make 2-3 sandwiches, and I keep going. And I would do the same thing in the locker room before I go out to practice. Lay out a nice little napkin, 2-3 sandwiches. And so, that was, a way for me to be able to have something to eat, mm-hmm. Providing energy, have something to eat so I can get some other food.
So at the time, then they didn't have meal plans?
Well, okay. See, I was a walk-on.
Okay.
Okay. So, the people were surprised that I was a walk-on. People thought I was on scholarship there. And it got revealed that I was a walk-on. And so because I was a walk-on, I was getting financial aid. But I maxed it out though. Believe me, because at the time, they had the individual categories, then they had a box that said all. So I checked the box that said all. And so this way I was covered. If I needed a loan, grants, didn't matter. I had access, to all of them.
Jesse, what's your fondest memory of UCI?
Okay, I was playing a doubleheader, and my family was there. My family, happened to be there. It was on a Saturday. And
so your family came in from Detroit?
Yeah, some of my brothers and sisters were out here. They had moved out here. They were out here. And my cousins and some of my friends. And so they came to see me play on a Saturday. And so I hit a home run. And so my cousin had went to get something to eat. So at the time, there was a song that was out called Instant Replay. And so my cousin missed it. So I hear my cousin yelling from the stand, Instant Replay. So the next at bat, I hit another home run. And so I hit 2 home runs, 2 consecutive at bats. And then in between games, I was interviewed on the field. And my family got a chance, to be a part of that experience. And in that interview, it was exposed that I was a walk-on. And so the people in the audience are like, you were a walk-on? You weren't on scholarship? They were shocked. But you take advantage of what you're given. Here's what I was given. I took full advantage of it, and I was grateful.
Based on your experience at UCI, what might you say to current or prospective students about how Black students or Black people can survive and thrive at the university?
I would say get a mentor. Okay, one of the, I was asked a question by Doug Haynes. Doug and I talked.
And Doug, and that's the Vice Chancellor of Office of Inclusive Excellence? Yes.
Okay, Doug and I talked. So I was telling Doug about like all the work of the Black Alumni Chapter. And so I said, Doug, the plan. So Doug says, Jesse, how can you guys just do all that work and you're volunteering? Mm-hmm. I said, Doug, it's about the students. It's about the vision. It's about building something that is going to be significant, that's going to make an impact, not only the current students, but the future students as well. And so I work with a team of people that are very passionate. They're very passionate, they're very committed, and they are about excellence. And so what we're doing is we are laying a foundation to build something that's going to impact students for the future. And so it's important to inform students to get a mentor. By having a mentor, that mentor can guide you through those years at UCI. That mentor can make that road easier for you. You have somebody, that you can talk to about various challenges that you might be having. And really, I stress mentoring. Connect with the alumni, connect with the Black Alumni Chapter. I said, because we're here to help you. We're here to make that road easier for you. And I share with them, you don't want to take the scenic route. I said, you want to work with somebody that has been down that road that can tell you, here's the way you should go. Here are the things you should do. Because we're looking at not only at their experience, making sure that they have a great experience, but also being able to transition into the workforce as well. And so I encourage African-American students, take advantage of the alumni, the Black Alumni Association. Get a mentor. And by doing that, that will save them a lot of frustration.
And Jesse, how has UCI affected your life? Can you tell me a little bit about your career and how the university has shaped you as a person and professionally?
UCI gave me the confidence. I mean, as an athlete, you're confident, but when you begin to, have to deal with the corporate world, and you begin to deal with, people of different demographics, different intellect, and so UCI gave me the confidence to be able to go out into the world and deal with whatever challenges that was presented. It didn't matter because I knew who I was. I've already been challenged on a high level athletically, but now I have the intelligence to go along with that. So by having the intelligence and then understanding how to use an education, okay, because the education teaches you how to think, teaches you how to draw your own conclusions, how to use the mind, and understanding that you have a lot more control than what you think you do, but understanding how to use your mind to calculate your way of thinking, the way you approach things, and I share with people, think, then talk. Don't talk, then think. So you raise your awareness level, that you become more curious. You want to know more because I'll research something in a heartbeat. I mean, I don't care what it is, I'll go research it. And so UCI has given me skills and has brought things to my attention that has helped me to be a more confident man operating in society. Met some great people, phenomenal people that, because of UCI, I would not have met these individuals. And, also being able to participate in something like this, to be able to give back and to, talk about, my time, my experience here, and to, let future generations know that there were African Americans here that were doing great things, that there's a lot of pride here, tremendous pride, and that we want to do some things that are going to encourage other African Americans to want to not only know more or learn more about UCI, but we want you to attend as well.
And what did you go on to do professionally after UCI?
Okay, I went to play professional baseball in Victoria, British Columbia. Played for a season there, and then went to work. I mean, and I don't have any regrets that I didn't keep going because there were some things that I got involved in that made me a better person and a more, well-rounded person. I went to work.
Where'd you work?
I worked, my first job was working at a electronics place. Mm-hmm. And because at the time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I took a job at a electronics place, and I was a quality control inspector. And so, as a, you take what you learn and you make the best of it. And so I became, pretty well respected, quality control inspector. Worked there for about, it's called Emerson Industrial Control, for about 5 years. Then I took a job working at Underwriters Laboratories, or if you look at your electronic appliances, you see a UL symbol. Okay, I worked there for a bit as an inspector for them. And interesting experience because of the type of power, that you have, because you have the ability to hold up somebody's shipment, because the requirements for Underwriters Laboratories is very strict. And so when you see that UL listed symbol on those appliances, they have gone through extensive testing. And so you are in a position to deprive companies of not being able to ship their product and apply that UL listing on there. So, did that for a bit. Then eventually went to work for Frito-Lay, sales, marketing, promotions, event planning with them. And that was an interesting experience because I got exposed to operating a business and learning some things about Frito-Lay that they are very good at what they do, very good. And they have it down to a science that they know exactly what they're doing. And at the time, this was around in the 80s, Frito-Lay had, I would probably say close to about 70% market share, which is a lot, but they wanted more than that. So Frito-Lay was very aggressive. They had like various strategies on selling product. Like for example, 25-cent line. Okay. The strategy behind the 25-cent line was to create a product that a mother could buy if she had more than one kid. So at the time, Pepsi had canned soda for 50 cents. So Frito-Lay created a 25-cent line. So a mother can go and buy 4 bags of chips for $1 versus the product was called a grab bag, which is 69 cents. So you figure, okay, you got a mother, she's got 4 kids, she can buy 4 bags. Soda 50 cents. So for $1, a kid can get 2 bags of chips and a can of soda for $1. Okay, so kids have what is called disposable income. That was the term that Frito-Lay used. They have disposable income. So Frito-Lay tapped into disposable income because they know a kid always got $1. They always have $1. Mom, give me $1. Mom, give me $1. Frito-Lay capitalized on that. And so they built that 25-cent line just for that. So then left Frito-Lay, went to work for the Los Angeles Times, sales, marketing, promotions, event planning in their corporate office. Had a territory from Gardena to Santa Barbara. My responsibility was growing retail circulation in major accounts for them. And just a great experience. But again, you'll learn a lot about people and understanding, how to relate to people, how to, be able to people.
Jesse, I think we lost your video. Could you turn your video back on?
Yeah, let me see if I can, because somebody just called.
There you are.
Yeah. So I learned a lot about packaging because at the time we would do promotion. So I was involved with promotion. So we used to do different type of packages. Okay. I did something with, at the time, AM Fox Sports, AM 570. I think it was AM 570. So the Staples Center had just opened. So what they decided to do was do a promotion. So the promotion was a haircut, newspaper, 2 tickets to the Kings game. Yeah, AM 1150. It's called AM 1150. Okay, so they did this promotion to raise money. So I got a chance to work with, AM 1150 on this promotion. And so I began to pay attention. Packaging, okay? ticket to a game, haircut, paper. So I began to look at opportunities to be able to attach the paper, to different things. And so learned a lot about marketing, and realized from being involved with LA Times in that capacity, I should have probably got a master's degree in marketing, because I enjoy marketing, and still do some things pertaining to marketing as well. But was very grateful for my time with them. I retired, but I'm just as busy now. I represent a guy that was with Earth, Wind, and Fire for about 14 years. I'm his business manager. His name is Sheldon Reynolds. And he's lead vocalist and guitarist for Earth, Wind, and Fire. So now I'm his business manager. And I've been managing him for about 6 years, and I'm working on relaunching his career. And so it's right now we're working on, he's got a special song that he co-wrote with a singer, young singer. It's called Love and Respect, that we're involved with a organization called #Sheroes. And #Sheroes is an event and an organization that's going to be honoring women that do phenomenal things, not celebrities, but you see women that are just doing phenomenal things that don't get recognized for it. So we're in the process of working on a concert, and also it'll be an 8-hour televised special to identify women via a promotional event that we're working on, something that will be put together that people will be able to submit who this person might be, that their shero is. That information will be given to the production team, and if selected, they will be profiled for a TV special. And so the vision behind that is to create a docuseries called #Sheroes. And so keeps me busy, doing some things, with him. But again, here's a situation where God gives you something that you don't ask for. And so I met him at West Angeles Church. I'm a deacon at West Angeles, been a deacon there for like over 30 years. And spend a lot of time, giving back to the community. I believe in giving back and serving the community. And so involved with planning events, for the church. We have something coming up right now that we've been doing for some years with the Prostate Cancer Foundation, that we educate, men on prostate cancer. And so because of the work that we've done, with them, we have been able to, men have, their lives have been saved because of the prostate cancer event that we've done, for them. So, I'm retired, but I share my time with West Angeles Church of God in Christ under Bishop Charles E. Blake, also with UCI, president of the Black Alumni Chapter. And so amongst those two, I share my time and enjoy doing it, have a lot of fun. But I know that it's being a blessing, to a lot of people.
Jesse, thank you so much. We only have about a minute or two left. And was there any last things that you wanted to mention before we wrap up?
If you are a UCI alumni, get involved. Take some time out of your busy schedules to give back to students, because your wisdom can make a difference in the life of a Black alumni, of a Black student. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
I have one more thing, Jesse. If you had to describe your UCI experience in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Fun, adventuresome, and a great learning experience.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for taking the time to tell us your UCI story. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure that others will too.
Thank you so much.